Hey guys, welcome back to the channel.
You took my line, but that's okay. Welcome back to the channel from this guy.
Today we're doing a little service on the ATV. We have to do the front rotors and some pads. This thing squeaks like crazy. It's driving me nuts. We also need to do an alignment on it.
Yeah, that's your. I haven't done an alignment, so.
I haven't either, so we're all going to do this together. We do have a sheet that we got out of the manual that tells you how to do it.
Yeah.
We did change the tie rods already, and apparently we didn't get it in because it drives funny. So we need to do that alignment ASAP. So let's get going on that.
All right, so this is just a close-up of said rotors. Then we have the brake pad still in the bag. Nice old Polaris part.
All these are Polaris parts that we're using today. We got good deals on them. These came from eBay. All it came from eBay, actually. And the part number's there. We'll put it in the description.
Yep, and then here's the sheet. I'll probably pop up on the screen so you guys can see it. But if you always need to, you can always pause it right here for a second. So right now we're just going to take off the tires. Easy peasy. Just so you guys know, we have this jacked up on a four-wheeler jack, so it actually lifts all four tires off the ground, which is awesome. And
yeah, the ATV jack.
so if you guys don't have one, I'd recommend one if you're doing any work on your ATV.
All right, now that we got the tire off, we got to get this caliper off. It's mounted on the back with a couple bolts. See them back there. There's one up here, one down here. We'll take that off. Then we got to loosen this nut. I think it's like a star or Torx. And then that'll allow us to get the pads off and changed. Then we got to pull this hub off in order to get the rotor off of the back of the hub. So let's get the tools we need for that.
So what size was that for all these people wondering?
Yeah, I think it was a 13. Let's double check. Or not 13. This is all American on Polaris. Half inch.
Half inch. So we're on a 2006.
Which half inch I think is a 13 millimeter. Close.
Just about. I mean, they're not exactly the same, but close enough. As I was saying, this is a Polaris 800 twin. So if that helps you guys out knowing exactly what we're working on. But I'm assuming most of them have this general layout for the Sportsman.
Around this time, yeah, this year. Like you said, like you did say, it is an 06. We use it up on the property for plowing and pulling stuff. Actually, we once pulled out a UPS truck that got stuck once with this.
Which was absolutely crazy because it's so small compared to a UPS truck. But
it was just enough to get them out. Pretty nice.
Sorry if these camera angles are a bit funky. I'm trying to use my phone, and you know, there's the wheel well of a four-wheeler is only so big.
That's all it is. Two of them. Takes that right off. Be careful of your sensor here. It's your speed sensor. And then, like I was saying in the back, it is an Allen key. It's not a Torx. You loosen that up. That gives you enough room to push this in to get these pads off because can't get them off otherwise. All right, now this is a 3/16 Allen. We're just backing that out a little bit. That just allows us to push that pin in so the pads can come off. Like that. That allows you to get that in there just enough usually. As you can see, they have blue Loctite on there. Actually, I do. I put it on there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it might come from the factory, but everything we work on, if you see anything we work on, there's about a 90% chance it has never sees on it or some kind of Loctite. So, just as a side note, guys, if this pin right here isn't popping for you, you can get a flat blade screwdriver and kind of just
set it there and
press it
against that and push it back. Gives you just enough to get the pad off. See, they almost fall off.
Drop the pad off.
These here were some cheap pads I put on it to try to stop the squeak. Didn't happen. I even had EBC brakes on here. At one point, it still squeaks, so got to be these rotors.
All right, so now that we got this taken care of, we're going to take off the cap so we can actually get this rotor off. So get a screwdriver, just, you know, nicely pry off so you don't rip that old boot. So this is just a, what is it, castle nut?
The castle nut with cotter pin.
Yeah, with a cotter pin. So we're just going to pin the cotter pin so it pulls out. You can use some needle nose pliers, side dikes. Wow, I didn't know there was a shotgun in here.
And these should only be not much more than hand tight, so.
But if you do need to know the size, boo, 15/16. And then boom, it fits, it ships. Perfect.
There we go.
And then it's just boop, boop,
These
boop.
4, they look to be like 1/2 inch. We'll pop those off, pop onto the new rotor, and reverse what we just did. We'll put a little more grease on that shaft there too.
You're right with the 1/2 inch, good sir.
And we'll put a little more lube on this shaft.
I'm gonna lube up your shaft.
This shaft. All right, so let's do that.
So instead of hand doing this, we're just gonna put on the old impact.
Well, as you can see, they got Loctite on them also. You definitely don't want that coming apart. You can see the Loctite on there. The blue type, the medium. Don't use the red stuff. It'd be too hard. As far as I know, there's no difference inside.
I don't
All that came off. Let's get a new one. Like matched there. It doesn't say front or back, so I don't think it much matters.
You can just give it a nice wipe off though.
Yeah, we'll wipe this off with some brake clean, get any grease off it.
And then we just line it up. Is it all lining up good? Yep, holes are where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, it's perfect.
All right, guys. So I have some brake parts cleaner. Sorry, my English is horrendous. So just as a little side note here.
Did you say your English is horrendous?
It's okay. I have an English
Aren't you an
degree.
English major?
Major? No, I already have a degree. So yeah.
Yeah, but still.
So guys, if you're changing the rotor on a car or an ATV, it's always good to just wipe it off with some brake parts cleaner. That way no oil or grease or anything is on there, which would get caught in your brake pads and make some ineffective stopping.
Even that label I scraped off the braking surface because that glue that's right there, which I gotta get more stuff on, will gum up your pads, so make sure you get that off.
Pretty cheap from a parts store too. We have like a surplus of cans most of the time, so
A shop must have.
yeah, that and Everseas and shop towels.
Loctite.
Yeah, Loctite. Everything we usually use Loctite, so we're just gonna put just a little bit on each one of these before we put it in there.
I mean, there's still some on there which will probably work, but we'll give it another little hit.
More the merrier. Phones. So we greased up the shaft here, as you see, nice and lubed up.
Good
here.
time to check your bearings, your seals, and everything. Ours are pretty good. Yep. Hold your axle in the back.
Don't worry, I got you. That's what I'm here for.
There we go.
Good thing I didn't have my finger back there. That would have been a problem. And then this is pretty much the same thing as taking it apart, but now you know that you have a nice new rotor.
Remember, it is bearings. You don't want to like get an impact on this and just tweak on it because you'll over tighten it and then burn up your bearings.
Just give it just a little, what would you say, about hand tight or just a hair bit more?
Well, you want to go slightly more.
We'll go a little bit more so we can actually line up the...
Yeah, your holes there. So you want to get that hole.
So we're pretty close.
Right there.
Again, guys, I'm sorry if the video's shaky. I'm just testing out this Note 10 Plus video stabilization because we do have a gimbal. Just forgot to bring it out, and then I have to walk back to the house and and the brake pads are out of the bag.
Like I said, we went with factory ones just to avoid the squeak. I mean, they got them, what do they call them? Centered pads you see with EBC and stuff. I don't believe the Polaris ones are, but they work the best and they don't squeak. So I just go with factory. Let's get this other pad off of here.
10 hours later.
Reverse that.
Yeah, this is very important. I mean, I don't think you guys would possibly mess it up, but just try to replicate how you take it off. You don't want to put the brake pad on there backwards because you're not going to stop.
Yeah, it won't be good. We got that on there. We'll run the run that set screw back in. Just push your piston back into your caliper.
Yeah, you can always pry off of the actual piece. So if you need, so if you need to move the piston or the rods, easy to do. More piston? Is it going to work?
Not piston, I think about it. No, we're just going to get this pad spread.
Alright, so when he tightened this up, it kept the pads a little bit too close to get on the rotor. So if you do have that problem, which we did, we just loosened this up a little bit for right now. So it kind of moves the rod so you can actually spread the pads more. So now that he's got this on here, we're going to line it up in place and then actually tighten this back up.
Those are there. There's my bolts.
Right here. Boop.
Boop, bolts. Let's get some Loctite on those.
That's all you, pal. Sorry. I can't function with the left hand effectively. There ain't no way to get an angle on this. So after a little bit of finagling, we got it on both the... Wow. Magnetic light for you. We're just going to tighten this back up because we did loosen this one, and then we're going to make sure that the actual bolts are nice and tight. And voila, this will technically be together once we put the tire on here. Alright, so since we have this all together and we are going to do the alignment, you're going to want to loosen up the nuts on the tie rod. So I recommend just giving it a spritz of some WD-40
or Seafoam or something.
Yeah, Seafoam just on the two things, because if you haven't done it in a while, there's a good chance it's going to be hard to break. We went ahead and did it already to loosen them up. These are 3/4 inch. You're going to need 2 of them. One will hold it, then the other one goes on the other one, and then you just bring them inward for this one. That one's opposite, right? That would be...
Yeah, this one's actually the opposite one. You tighten this to loosen it, and the other one's the right way.
Yeah, the right of how you know left. Yeah, left
right
to
to
loosey,
tight. This is left to tight.
And then you're going to need a small little wrench. There's a little groove in here. You can see there. It just rests in there, and that's nice and tight.
And this is what you're going to turn to do your alignment. So, that's what you're going to need. That's a 3/8 wrench.
So now to the instructions to test.
Alright guys, we got both of the brakes done on both sides. We made sure the tie rods were loose so we can just turn those easy. He's buttoning up the tires. And we'll get both sides on, then we'll show you the setup for giving an alignment. You'll need like a piece of string or a straight edge, at least as long as the tire base or the wheel base, and jack stand.
Alright, so now that we got both wheels on here, we put the four-wheeler off of the jack so everything's on the ground. We're going to base it off this instructions relatively. We did watch a few videos that did things a little bit different, so we're going to do that. But once this is on the ground, you're going to make sure that the handlebars are completely straight. So, you just hop on board, make sure that the handlebars are straight. We're doing pretty good right now. So now to you, good sir.
The next thing we're going to do is, it says to use 2 jack stands and put it up. I'm just going to tie it to the hitch, wrap it around the rear tire, and then tie it to this jack. And that'll give us a point to start from. Okay, as you can see, the directions call for an outward toe on this of between a 1/8 of an inch to a 1/4 of an inch. So we want to bring this jack stand in until it touches the rear tire, but we want to measure from the rim. So
if you see a gap right here, as you can see,
bring it in until it touches the tire.
Keep going.
I can't yet because you can see how far
off
the front tire is. This is how far up the alignment is. So we got to adjust the tie rod to bring that tire in. So now I can see the tire starting to turn inward. That's what we want. We're creating that gap.
Way off. I mean, I probably could have looked at the front of the four-wheeler and told you it was off. This one's not as bad. Alright, so we got everything a little bit better here. So as we were saying, make sure these handles stay even, because if you're trying to move this a bunch to try to, I don't know, adjust it to make it better, these will technically move. So just make sure they stay equal. If you have somebody to help you, you can have them kind of hold it, or just keep checking it. So we have that line completely ran across here, and it's touching the tire on both. So basically what we're doing here is we're measuring the distance from the rim to the rope. Yeah, boom. That's about, for the sake of this, I'm not going to count that difference on the end of it, is a 1/8. And then this one is an 1/8 plus a 1/16. You technically want the back of the front tire to have a little bit more of a gap. So that's technically exactly what we're looking for.
Yeah, the tolerance is between a 16th and an 1/8, 2 to 3 millimeters, and then that's aligned. So now you go under and tighten those lock nuts and go do the same thing on the other side.
Just make sure when you tighten them that you're not twisting the rod to adjust your alignment. Just make sure it stays nice and steady, and then you just hop to the next tire, which we will do. All right, so switching to the other side, we have it going along the tire. This will be about center of the tire, just so you guys know you don't want the string up here or down there. Try to keep it center. Going across here, touching it to the tire. This right here touched the tire, and you can see the gap we have is probably seriously close to an inch. So this one definitely had to be adjusted. So since those nuts are loosened, we're just going to twist the tie rod
And hold the wheel.
to make sure it stays.
We're going to have to go enough because it ain't even touching the back tire yet.
All right, so after a little bit of finagling, since we were so out of whack before, you can see the line is touching the tire. This one's touching the tire, and then the gap between the two, it's only a 16th off. So this one is a 16th less than this one. So that's kind of what you want, because that's the toe that you're supposed to have for the toe out. Yeah, the toe out for the ATVs. So technically we're all set. So he just has to tighten those up because those are in position, and then we're technically all set there. All right, everybody. That basically sums up this video of the old maintenance.
Thanks for hanging out with us while we did this maintenance. If it's something that helped you out and you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. The support is appreciated.
Oh, definitely.
Any comments, put them down below. He gets to them pretty quick. All the links to the stuff we used will be in the description. And as always, please like, share, comment, all that good stuff.
If you guys have any ideas for any kind of videos or anything like that, feel free to drop them in the comment section, because we do take viewer suggestions for stuff, because the channel is a little bit of everything. So if it's something that we want to take a shot at or need to do, we're more than happy to do it. Again, that like button is much appreciated, because just to make these videos, it takes like an extra probably close to an hour of recording time just to do something that we could probably get done an hour faster. So we hope this helps some of you guys. I think that about sums it up. So
that's about it. Until next time.
Do a little bit of everything.
Try something new.